Yo, what's up, you guys? It is Friday, August 15th, and we are back with another TnS Daily review. So, really quick, just jumping right into things, we actually did have an honorable mention today. It was a pre-market short here, version 2 entry for, of course, negative R, but it did end up turning into something big. So I'm just going to mark out the entry and show you it did start off small and it turned into a pretty decent play. As you can see, you could have got 1R right there before it came back for your entry. But basically, you could have just got 1R out of it. So I'll just leave it at that. But let me make sure my settings are correct. You can see I have 35-point stop. Nothing else checked. That means that I'm ready for the 5-minute. And let's see how it did. So this would be 9:15. Let's fast forward a bit. So we're at 9:30. Sorry, I'm going a little bit too fast there. Slow that down. So I'm just going to skip to the 9:30 candle. And you can see this is the 9:30 candle. And we actually tapped into a long setup way over here to the left. It is a version 1 long though. That's the only thing about it. Some people may have not seen this if they don't have version 1 on. Remember, it's on by default. So once again, if you don't have this checked, if you have this checked, that means you're on version 2. You can see it doesn't show up anymore. That's what you wouldn't have seen this setup if you didn't have it unchecked. So if you have it unchecked, which is by default, you could have seen this. And it did get tagged in. It did play out, actually. It did. So you enter there, and then your TP's up here, your stop loss down here, and you can see it says 82 points there on the table. And it did win for 82 points. So trade number 1 for TnS version 1 only is going to be a win for 82 points. Now, just to show you it did win, there is a short there. We'll get to that in a minute. But you can see it did get TP right there. And I don't think you could have held a rudder for too much. Basically, it looks like it peaked at 99 points. I think it came crashing right back down. Let's see. Yeah, it did come back down. So yeah. But anyways, let's get back to the short setup that was here in between. Basically, that first trade peaked at like 99 points exactly, not quite 100, but it did get to 99, which is still basically 100. So right here in the middle, we did have a short setup, and this one was actually for version 2, probably, but just both versions. So it was a version 1 and version 2 short. You can see if I switch this to version 2, it does still show up in the same spot. So this trade did unfortunately have to lose for the long to get TP. So that means trade number 2 for version 1 is a loss, and that's going to be trade number 1 for version 2 as a loss as well. Okay, so just showing you guys it did lose. I'm going to mark out the highest stop. Of course, it did lose because the long got TP, but this is the last stop loss for the higher entry. It did get stopped right there, you can see. Okay, so moving on. After that one got stopped, we did create a new short setup, and this one was pretty heartbreaking because it got really, really close. Even if you use the lower entry here, right here is the stop loss for 35 points, the TP, down here for about 50. It got super close to stopping out, 31 out of 35 points, which is, just like 4 points away from getting stopped out. Then it came all the way back to the entry and even dipped down just a little bit beneath it, and then it came all the way back and even came back a second time and even swept out that low, and then it just eventually failed. So pretty heartbreaking there. It seemed like it was trying to work, once here, and then the second time there, it still just ended up failing. But truly, if you're thinking, if you were in this, you could have incorporated the new trade management types of concepts that, it's in the new video that I released on my YouTube. You could have actually moved to break even once this low was swept, or you could have moved to break even as soon as you got like half R. And I think this at least went for 15 points. Yeah. You could have moved to break even once you got 15 points, which really means you could have got break even here, but you definitely could have moved to break even on this trade before it failed. But anyways, that's going to be trade number 3 for version 1 and trade number 2 for version 2 as a loss. Okay, so after that trade failed, I think that was pretty much it for the day for the 5-minute TNS. Let's just double check here. So yeah, that leads us into 4 o'clock there, and you can see there is no other setups there, which means these would be our final stats for 5-minute TNS. Let's tally it all up and get our final results. All right, so these would be our final results for TNS on the 5-minute. TNS version 1 with 0.3 R, 12 points, and that's with 1 win and 2 losses on the day. And TNS version 2 with minus 2 R, minus 70 points, and that's with no wins and 2 losses on the day. So pretty disappointing day for really both versions, to be completely honest, because Fridays is usually supposed to be our good day for TNS, but definitely not a good day for TNS version 2 because, had a pretty hefty red day with 2 losses. And then version 1 is really only green because the first trade won for so many points. It's big TP, so it's able to shield itself from these 2 back-to-back losses. But still pretty much just a break even or a super light green day for version 1. Pretty hefty red day for version 2. But yeah, guys, let's see how the 1-minute did today. All right, so I'm on the 1-minute, and I do have my indicator set to the 1-minute settings. 25-point stop, version 2 checked. Everything else pretty much the same. So it is on version 2, and it's ready for the 1-minute here. So this first trade will not be counted because, of course, it's happening before 9:30, and it looks like it won as like a pre-market setup, but once again, it will not be counted. But anything else that we create here will be counted. So it looks like we got a short here that gets tagged in, and it's lower entry, so it's for 35 points. As you can see, 25-point stop, 35 right there. Let's see. So it came back to the entry there again, and then it did get TP. So let me just back up there to make sure we're getting it right. So trade number 1 is going to be a win for 35 points. Okay, so once again, this one did win for 35. As you can see, the table shows it, and it did get TP. Now, this one you actually could have held for pretty much the entire day because we never basically came back to that entry. The entry is about like right here. And yeah, you could have held that for good like 50 points there before it starts to play around, and really could have got 100 out of it. You could have got 100 points out of that. But yeah, moving on till we get another setup. We get a short there. Let's see if it gets tagged in. Okay, it did right there. And this one looks like it's about to get stopped. It did get stopped, so trade number 2 is a loss. Okay, now moving on to this long setup. Let's see if that gets tagged in. I think this one also lost. So long gets tagged in there. The stop is down here. I'm just gonna mark out the stop loss. And it did get stopped, I do believe. So yeah, it got stopped out there. So that means trade number 3 is also a loss. And now moving on. We had a short there that did not get tagged in. I know it looks like it did, but it really didn't. We missed it by 1 tick, unfortunately. So zooming in here all the way, you can see we did miss it by 1 tick, but it was really weird because MNQ hit it to the absolute tick. But of course, we're not here to back test MNQ. This one did not get tagged in, so it won't be counted. But then we come back up to here, and this middle short did get tagged in. Pretty sure this one lost as well. So yeah, trade number 4 is also a loss. I'm not sure what happened to the long down there. It said there was a long there. It looks like it kind of went away. So it looks like, yeah, this is not 3 points away from the edge. So it's 1 tick off from being valid, which is why the indicator kind of glitched out a little bit. But I'm just going to mark out this entry to see if it gets tagged in. Right there, we missed it again. It would have been nice if it got tagged in there because it probably would have been a win. Remember, there's no setup here, but if there was, that also would have been a win because this candle tapped the FEG for the first time. We actually went to that high. If it was an entry, it would have won, but then it kind of kept playing around. Until we got about there. Wait. Okay, so it looks like this setup finally got tagged in. It did win only for 6 points, though. Pretty disappointing there, but it did win. So trade number 5 is going to be a win for 6 points. And once again, the TP is right here, this green line. You can see it did get TP right there for 6. Not too many points there. Then we get this long setup here. I'm not sure what happened here, but the TP is for 17 points. So let's see what happens. I'm just going to mark out the TP now. Okay, it did get TP, and that was for, I believe, 17 points. Yeah. Okay, so trade number 6 is a win for 17 points. Let's continue. So once again, that one did get the win for 17, and then we have a, oh, didn't mean to do that. Then we have a new long setup right here. I think this one got stopped, and we'll see. So this long did get tagged in. I know for a fact this one got stopped out. The stop loss for it should be, actually, maybe it's the one that's already have here. Okay, yeah, so that would be this stop loss. These stop losses are way down here. That's interesting. So I'm not sure what happened there. All right, so I got all the stop losses marked out now, but this one I'm pretty sure failed. Is that a short? Not a short, almost. Okay, wait a second. So it looks like we tagged in the lower long entry here. And looking at this, it would be the lowest number because it seems like it only tapped the first entry, and that's what we're counting anyways. But it taps the entry here. I'm just trying to confirm. Yeah, 798 there. You can see my entry's at 799, 798 here. And it did get TP, looks like, for 12 points. Let's double check that. Make sure. Okay, it did. So yeah. So trade number 7 is going to be a win for 12 points. So yeah, trade number 7 is a win for 12. And technically speaking, this would be an A plus long setup because this setup formed once this one got TP. I'm not sure what happens here. It probably is going to get stopped out. But now all I have it marked is the stop loss for this one, and then the other play is still on as well. This long, I haven't forgot about that. Actually, I forgot it did get stopped here. So the higher entry got stopped for this one. The lower entry still in play. Once this lower entry gets stopped, I will mark it as a loss. Do not forget about it. Okay, so they both lost, which means trade number 8 and 9 are both losses. Okay, so once again, just to be very, very clear, trade number 8 and 9 is really just from this gap here, right? This gap here, the stop loss is way down here. The TP is way up there. The higher stop did get stopped out as we dip back down on that A plus setup. So you can see it didn't get stopped down here. It got stopped right here, which means that's the first entry there getting stopped, and then comes down and stops out both the lower entry from this one and the actual stop loss from this new A plus long that did not play out too well. So that's why it's trades 8 and 9 there as well. Actually, now I forgot about this one because there's a long here that the stop loss was way down here somewhere. So let's double check that. Oh, no, okay, that's the one that won. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so these two don't matter because this is the one that actually won for 12 points. Sorry. Getting a little confused here. There's a lot of setups. So now moving forward, we didn't get another setup for a while, it looks like. Okay, we got a short here. Not sure what happens. See if the short gets tagged in. Oh, it's actually 4 o'clock. Never mind. So this would be the cutoff here. This basically was the end of the day. This is 4 o'clock on this candle, which means these would be our final stats for TnS on the 1 minute. Let's tally it all up and get our final results. All right, so these would be our final results for TnS on the 1 minute today. I walked away with minus 2.2 R, minus 55 points, and that's with 4 wins and 5 losses. So 1 minute TnS just couldn't cut it today. Basically, you know, it's never a good sign when it loses 3 in a row, I've noticed. It seems to really only have a good day when it loses like 2 in a row max, and then it's like able to bounce back. There was a little win streak here, like it's, you know, 3 trade wins, but they're all for negative R, and it doesn't help that much when all three of those are negative R, and then you take a full size loss right after that, it's gonna add up. Um, but yeah, pretty nasty red day for the 1 minute TNS, and yeah, we'll see how it did for the end of the week. But yeah, guys, it's gonna wrap it up for this daily review, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.